Christopher. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. How about you, David? It's seems like with all of the activity that's been going on, everything seems to finally be sorting itself out now. Is that what you're finding too?
Yeah, that's the positive of the Sun and Saturn coming together. Is there is structure, there are rules set, there is concrete drawing, there is, there's something to stand on. And I think even though sometimes, there's work involved and there's a lot of things to do, which I think we're starting to see as I think the story is shifting into Capricorn now after Jupiter has now gone retrograde in Cancer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a significant shift, and it's going to push a lot of things forward. Um, and I'm liking this retrograde with Jupiter because it's staying in Cancer. It's going to be going back to 10 degrees of Cancer, and then in the first week of March, starting its advance once again. So I think that this time, what we're going to see is that Jupiterian effect will kind of give us that final fourth house shove. So a lot of realignment is starting as Jupiter is starting to track backwards. We're going to see a lot of big issues that have that we've been pondering, that we've been working with, start to reformulate, and new answers are going to start appearing. And then in March of next year, it will start its advance again, and that's when we're going to see some really excellent results coming in for all of the effort that we've been putting into, a lot of these things that we've been working on, fourth house issues.
Yeah, it's emotional stuff. It's good stuff though. I think that we've been very blessed. I think Jupiter in Cancer is a blessing because it's at a very powerful position. It's exalted in Cancer. So Jupiter likes to give a lot of gifts here. And I would say that we've gotten quite a lot in our lives. I mean, let's just use you and I for example. We started this show right when Jupiter went direct. So it's interesting if we just look at your and my story together on how rapid you and I have grown in the show and how many new people it's reached and how it's grown, and it's been a blessing, I think. And I think in all of our lives there's been a lot that has changed since February, a lot you've stepped out of and a lot that you've stepped into, a lot that you've grown in. And, Jupiter went through Gemini, and then it went into Cancer, and it went through pretty much all of Gemini and almost all of Cancer. So this is rapid and really almost too much growth, I'd say. I mean, I'll take it. I think we'll all take it. But especially at the times we're in with the Pluto-Uranus square of this, kind of tension that's around. I think it's good though for us to step back and understand where we've grown, because it's almost like we can't get lost too far on the journey. This asks for us to take a break and for us to kind of review the tracks. It's almost like as a hunter, like take a step back and take a look at where you went and everything, because there's so many things that we can understand clear in our lives about how we feel, about our comfort zones. And it is this Capricorn story now. This is about success. This is about making sure you're feeling your goals are being attained. And in many ways, this all comes from us reviewing where we've grown.
Yes, exactly. And the nice thing about this is it's going to be a lot more leisurely, whereas the last advance of Jupiter, like you said, was yeehaw, giddy up. And now this time we're going to see it be more attentive to the individual details in our lives. And so we're really going to be able to use the resources that Jupiter is going to bring into our home and into our personal lives and into our need to have a sense of dominion over the space that we occupy. So I think this is going to be really exciting and positive, and it's kind of a nice graceful way to advance and move forward into the holiday season.
Yeah, this is a unique Jupiter retrograde because this one is also going to be trining the whole Scorpio story. As Saturn's going to start trining this, the Mercury retrograde and even the Neptune Chiron energy. I mean, this grand water trine is still clicked into gear through the whole thing. So there's a mysticism around. There's this spiritual awakening happening all over the world and in your life. And I think if you start to pay attention to your feelings, they guide you into the correct journeys. They guide you on the right trails. They guide you to making the right plans. And I think it's interesting that as we step into this weekend, you know, we've made it through quite a lot. The sun went over Saturn this week, which can be very, you know, like we say, there's a ground floor that's being built. But at the same time, you know, it's not so much of the fireworks that we see in Leo or the, you know, the mass rapid growth we've seen with Jupiter. But this is us, you know, at a very solid space in our life in order for us to walk into the room and start to make something happen with it. This is about, you know, living in your truth now. This is about finding your real inner core. And I think this weekend is very positive in the fact that, you know, it's time for us to put this work in. I think, you know, the sun coming off of Saturn and starting to trine Jupiter throughout this week is a very positive sign of us, you know, being cleared to step into some really great energy. And on top of that, Mercury is on its last weekend of being retrograde. So this is a final review this weekend because I believe it is this week that comes up for us that we really step forward in a great way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I am noting here in the movement in the heavens is late in the day on Friday, we'll see the moon advancing into Aquarius. And that's going to bring us back to a kind of impersonal stance. You know, when the moon is in Capricorn, it's all about, you know, standing in that 10th house energy. And when it's in Pisces, it's about diving down and spending time at the bottom of the depths of the sea of spirituality or creativity or any of those areas that Neptune brings us toward. But it's going to be kind of a dry run over the weekend. As that moon goes through Aquarius, we can stand back, we can get a clear sense of everything that's been going on. And we do have Mercury kind of like coming to a screeching halt. It is going to be going stationary direct. And that basically means that even though it's still kind of a shadowy amount of movement here, it is preparing itself to launch back forward. And as it moves forward again, it's going to be starting very early in Scorpio. It's going to be starting out at about 2 degrees. And so a lot of the stuff that the last 3 weeks have kind of thrown up on the beaches of our life, the flotsam from, you know, the storms out at sea, we're going to be able to review that and make the fine-tuned corrections. So this weekend, we're really going to be feeling the Mercury stationary direct, and we're going to be feeling Jupiter stationary retrograde, because it's going to take a while for Jupiter to really start to pick up speed. And then as we continue to move forward, we're going to see Neptune finally get ready to turn around. So Neptune is kind of, you know, in that stationary mode, preparing to go direct now. And that's going to leave us with, you know, one real powerhouse, and that's going to be Uranus sitting up there in Aries, and it's still retrograde, and it is saying, I want some attention.
Yeah, I think the attention to make sure that we're identifying still correctly in our life. This is a long-term story of an upgrade to how we use our energy, of what we direct our energy towards. You know, it is that Martian, very forward-moving energy. And it's in review of, you know, have we identified correctly on the right roads? You know, all this is cardinal energy, and that deals with this cardinal cross of Jupiter and Pluto and Capricorn and Uranus. And this is about the roads we pick. This is about the directions we take. And, you know, we haven't got to talk much about Venus now, which is in Capricorn, which is here all the way till March. And this is going to be a retrograde that happens. And this is interesting because Capricorn is a very unique energy for Venus. You know, Venus likes to, you know, be wined and dined and go out and look pretty and do all this, you know, very flashy kind of lovey energy. And Capricorn is very straight and narrow and to the point and very businesslike. And so in many ways in our relationships and what we're valuing in our life and all these things that are turning on the wheel, it really shows us that, you know, it's time to take seriously the partnerships that we pick. It's time to take seriously the things that we invest our energy in, because what we're manifesting from are from plans now. Where we're manifesting from is from the core of taking very serious decisions, I believe, and what we direct our energy towards. So if any time than ever, it's interesting that it is this time period in our lives where, we need to be serious about things. And I think it's important for us to pay attention to these relationships a lot, because you've got to build the correct ones now. And this is about our plans, and whether they're plans for your future in a job or whether they're in the plans of this earth building in the correct direction. The right team members need to come together. The right value systems that you're embedding your energy in need to be correct. And I think that's what this next 3 months here with Venus going to do a retrograde and Jupiter retrograding is all about. Are you anchored in the right energies with Jupiter, your roots, your emotions, and do these plans have the ability to grow in the right directions? And I think this is a very important story in our lives, because Saturn in Scorpio wants us to really, anchor into our truth and really, step into our desires. And this is about true dream building. Saturn used to be trining Neptune at the beginning of this year. And I think this is what we're starting to see is the way that dreams can come true, or dreams can come reality, or imagination can come reality, is by the plans you do, the emotions you're embedded in, and who you partner with.
Exactly. Well, and we've also got, the 10th house energy, which is a destiny point. That's really what's going to happen here. When you start moving in that direction of the 10th house, you're starting to look at that point in your life where you really want to be seen, where you really want to be heard, and what kind of an imprint you're going to be leaving on the planet. So having Venus dancing around Pluto in that region of the chart and opposing Jupiter in that 4th house area, what we're going to see is a certain kind of shifting receptivity. Whenever you have an opposition, it forces you to go to the other side of the chart. So when you're feeling that Jupiter in the 4th house, you're going to find your answers in that 10th house. And when you're feeling that stress or that angst or that desire to stand in the spotlight and to be visible and to be seen and heard, you're going to have to go back to your home, to your nest, the 4th house, and find that source of strength that comes from the Jupiterian presence there. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic between the 4th and the 10th. And if you really look closely at your own personal chart and see what houses these are impacting for you personally, it's going to give you some very, very important clues for building a long-term profile as to where you want to go and what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it. This is such a powerful destiny point, as you say. Capricorn is the destined spot. It's no coincidence that the galactic center is at that 0-degree Capricorn spot. So this is a very karmic area. And interesting enough, this week still brings more karma, because Mercury going direct and Neptune going direct. Neptune especially. I think Neptune going direct is going to be our biggest saving grace. I think you're going to really feel this week the shifting finally, as Neptune is going to turn back on. And this allows you to connect better. I think our connection is a little difficult, especially when you have Mars in Virgo, which kind of embeds you so much in this reality and every little thing and nook and cranny. And, Mars has been connected with Saturn and Scorpio in a sextile this week. So there's a lot of work and a lot of things to do and adjust. And, we can get caught up so much in our reality that Neptune finally, brings some good, the power of the water. I think that Pisces and Neptune is the infinite of the water. It's the most powerful, actually, because it embeds in every part of our subconscious, our conscious. It's both sides. And we have to really open up to these very deep spiritual realms this week in order to make sure we're making the right plans. I don't think it's a coincidence that the moon humps over Neptune this week right before it goes direct. So we get this, midweek kind of like this emotional understanding of why we're turning on spiritually again, why our connection to God. In many ways, this can be us becoming clearer and clearer about signs from the universe. And I think it's important, and you'll see in our readings or readings you get with other practitioners or anything, you're going to see a heightened awareness come out of this next transit, because Neptune has pretty much graduated the second degree and is ready to start pushing forward again and starting to move higher and higher up into these deeper realms, subconsciously, consciously, spiritually. And that's what I think is going to be a huge part of this week, all while Mercury's direct. So talk about mental clarity, but also talk about inner spiritual psychic awareness coming on, which I think adds for an intense shift for us all in becoming more clear and understanding of what's really happening in our lives. And this is also the week where Venus and Pluto start to conjunct, and it starts to square Uranus. And I think that there's a lot to pay attention to in our relationships and what we're valuing with now the clarity that we can have. And with Jupiter trining the sun this week, there's a lot of growth, a lot of optimism, a lot of understanding. I don't think that this means so much expansion as it means that inside you have reached a lot of, oh my gods, or a lot of, oh, I understand, or holy cow, this could really happen, or this is what should happen.
Exactly. And Neptune is all about the mystical journey. And the reason we call it the mystical journey is because it is an inner unfolding that is not it's not definable. You can't sit down and have a discussion about this deeper region of your own spiritual being and define it in the eyes of another person. But it is that process of taking that deeper journey within and discovering the mystery of your own expression, your own unique being. And of course, Neptune is so incredibly creative. And we're going to have that nice interaction of Venus in sextile to Neptune. And Venus is very creative also. So these two planets are going to have a harmonious synergy as Venus eventually starts to go retrograde. It's going to kind of hover in that region where there's that sextile. So there should be a lot of juice going into creativity, and especially if you're a water sign. If you are a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio, if you're not expressing this creativity, if you're not bringing it forth and manifesting it, you're going to spiral off into some very dark areas. You know, I have one friend whose sun is, if I remember right, he's exactly 2 degrees of Pisces. Neptune has been sitting dead bang on top of this chart, of his natal sun in this chart. And this kid has been going through heroin addiction, and it's been just absolutely, you know, a travesty and a tragedy for those of us who are having to witness this. And that's how that Neptunian energy will dissolve your sense of identity so that you do gain access to that mystical experience. So hopefully this kid will get the benefit of Neptune finally going direct, and he'll get, you know, out of that darkness of the addiction, which is a part of Neptune. Neptune can become a very addictive energy.
Yeah, just as addicted to escaping reality, really. And in many ways, I think all of us with Mars and Virgo, it forces us. We've got to be in reality. But we need to be in reality consciously and not unconsciously. And there's a lot of that going around, Chris, you know, even more than just, you know, a Pisces at 2 degrees. You can start to see people who are just choosing to keep their light off, or just, you know, oh, just keep me doing the motions. I don't really want to understand what's going on. I don't really want to know. I just want to just do this. Let me just do this little thing here in my life. But this kind of is an awakening period. And I think that when you brought up creativity, that's what this is about. You know, you're going to start to see that this really maybe is not about you getting the big creative job, like the big movie or something, but this is about you starting to build the movie, or this is about you starting to build your art, or this is about you putting your art together. And that's what is so beautiful about this period. This can be a very deep inner renaissance period for many people, in understanding their skill sets, and understanding their passions, and understanding what they can do to manifest their art correctly. And I think it's interesting that when Neptune goes direct on the 13th, this is also when the moon is humping over Uranus. So there is an electricity, I think, that sparks up, and it's going to be all in this big powerful square to Venus and Pluto, and especially with creativity, that what you identify with, what actions you take, what courage you push into this is a part of it. And I think that creatively people really need to do it. This is where you step into it. This is where you put the pieces together. And I think that this is a beautiful week because you're going to start to see an understanding come, an awareness come, and a putting together of why this has all happened in your life and why it's brought you to this spot. And it's going to also be that feeling of the holidays, especially for people in, America. We're very holiday rich over here, especially around Thanksgiving. And this is kind of the kicker. I think you're going to start to feel the optimism grow for get-togethers. And this is also going to test how well your family units, your home units, how well they are able to come together, and especially at this family time. I think that's going to be an important aspect. I think this is going to be rare occurrences in your family that you haven't had for years come together.
Yeah, that's very true. And, one of the things I really stress a lot, point out to people, is that trides are very positive, benign, somewhat energy flows. But when you get the sextiles, that's when you start getting a lot of juice, a lot of power going. And as all of these events are going on, you had mentioned Mars. And yes, Mars is going to be advancing, and it's going to be in a tight sextile to Cancer that is starting to retrograde, to Jupiter in Cancer that's starting to retrograde. So you got a nice exchange going on there between Mars and Jupiter. And then you've got an equally nice exchange going on with Mars, Saturn, and the Sun. So we've got all of this energy going on here that's bouncing around between the 8th house, the 6th house, and the 4th house. And that really can stimulate a lot of healing, a lot of, like you were saying, the holiday energy is going to start really bubbling to the surface. I think we're going to see a lot of people being able to heal old family issues as we advance toward the holidays. And then, of course, good old Thanksgiving comes along this year. We have, a new moon on Thanksgiving, the first day of Hanukkah, the celebration of light. So, I know I'm bouncing us a little bit forward here into our next week, but I really see this as being an exciting and liberating and validating and illuminating. The season of light, illumination is going to be flowing in a lot of different directions, and we're going to see it start this week, and we'll see it intensify all the way up until the new year.
I think it's great that you're looking that forward. I think we started our whole thing. I think you'll realize that this whole horoscope has been more than just this week, but that's because this week is the beginning of a turning point. So I think it's important to understand the long term, especially as that's what Jupiter represents. This is a very Jupiter time, and it represents the big picture. It represents the end story and really seeing how big it goes. So I think it's important for you to look at that in your life and make sure that you are emotionally attached to the right stories and emotionally attached to the right understandings. So what do the cards say?
Well, let's take a look at what the cards have to say here for us. Well, we're starting off the new cycle on Friday with the Knight of Swords, and that's that moon advancing into Aquarius. We love that swords energy because when we get into those air signs, we can step back. We can look at the world through different eyes. And I think that's going to be really what the weekend is all about, is being able to get outside of our ego, get outside of our limitations. Then, through the weekend, look at what we've got. 10 of Rods. 10 of Rods is basically telling you that you have been carrying around some extra burdens in life. And perhaps it's time to lay those burdens down. So this weekend, while we've got that moon in Aquarius, we have the option of releasing a lot of the crap that we've been carrying around with us that has become not only burdensome, but tedious for the friends and family members that are around us. It's like, you know, get over it, let go, move on. As we move into next week, we have the Four of Swords, a meditative period. And again, that's very much in alignment with Neptune, getting ready to go direct. You know, you start that inner journey once again. You start your meditation practice once again. You refresh and renew your connection to spirit and get on that higher vibration, that higher wavelength. And by the middle and the end of the week, we have the Star card. So once again, we're moving into unlimited potentiality. The possibilities are limitless, and it's up to us to, you know, grab Jupiter's energy, grab Saturn's energy, grab the Neptunian energy, and take all of this water triangular energy and really advance with it. So it looks like a pretty spectacular week according to the cards.
That star card, I think, is so well with the Neptune vibe that comes back online, the purity. That star card always comes after the tower, you know. It's like the tower happens and then you're outside pouring, you know, naked out there in nature, you know. Like, I think that this is a beautiful new beginning. I think that the signal of Neptune direct is a signal from God, a signal of purity, a signal of your naked truth, a signal of your naked soul coming in this picture. And I think that that's what this week embodies and directs us to. And I think that you're right. I think that all those wands, you know, to lay some things down, that's Jupiter going retrograde. You know, we've expanded a lot, so it's time to make sure that you're holding on to things that you want to expand with. You know, sometimes we can end up with way too much in our sack. It's like Halloween candy. It's like you're not going to eat all those sugar daddies, and you're not going to eat all those Snickers. You're not, maybe, I don't know if you like Snickers, but I do. But you know what I mean? Like, there's some things that you don't need to have so much of. And I think it's time to focus, because Capricorn requires you to only bring so much on the trail. You know, you can't bring a cell phone to the Himalayas because it won't work. You can't bring 50 gallons of water because you won't be able to hold it. You can't bring, you know, that much food because you can't hold it. So Capricorn teaches us the restriction and the plans. And I think important this week is, if you're going to start to make some journeys and do some things in your life, you need to make sure that you're only having a certain amount and the right amount to make it on this journey correctly.
That's very true. And also, if we really look at things in the proper perspective, every time we accept a healing for ourselves and lay down a burden, get rid of one of those rods, what we're doing is we're healing the timeline of our ancestors. Mm. And that is, once again, creating openings for the future. So every time you release, every time you go to that Capricorn space and allow the Saturn energy to remove something that you've been carrying around for way too long, it heals the past and it creates a brilliant new potential for the future that you're getting ready to step into. So very multi-level, a lot of deep, penetrating kind of energy is going to be available, but it's really up to you. Are you going to grab it? Are you going to go with it? Because this week the dynamic is there. It's right in front of you. It's on your plate. And, you know, get ready for the feast.
Yeah, and Mercury direct. So in a good position too, trining Neptune. So there's a lot of hidden clues that I think become revealed this week of what, you know, that's one thing about Scorpio is it might stay hidden, but it will always be exposed. So there is a lot of exposing in the next couple weeks as we go into the deeper realms of Scorpio. Mercury comes back online, and it's going to hump over the North Node again by late in the next report we do. So there's a lot to reveal here. And you might not know it as you watch this video, but I guarantee you when you end the week after this video and get ready for our video next week, you'll start to understand this revealing.
Absolutely. And the neat thing is next week we've got that beautiful full moon coming up that we can start meditating on right now. And you and I, David, will be giving people some clarity and some insight as to this next big full moon that's on the horizon.
I'm ready. You know, I've got a moon in Taurus, so I have a lunar return this month coming up with a full moon. So pay attention to, you know, out there to your guys' moon signs, because, and especially when there is a full moon or a new moon in your moon sign, because that means your lunar return chart, when you look around, is going to have that energy influence of the month. So that's why it's important to pay attention to your moon signs. You know, I think it's an important thing.
It absolutely is, and it was great having this discussion with you. I think that and not only are we growing, but I think that our ability to share the visions that we share with each other is expanding also. So for those of you who are enjoying what we're doing, continue to spread the word and get our videos out there to friends of yours, so that everybody, hopefully at some point, will have an insight that will have meaning for them.
Exactly. And thank you, everybody, for sharing and joining us. And I'm excited because this is, you know, we're through the harder aspects, and there's a lot of positive and good things for us. And I'll just say this last note. Jupiter is your optimism. And when it goes in retrograde, it'll test how well you can stay optimistic in your emotions and learn to stay positive, you know, keep in that positive energy and have a good view. I think it's so important at this juncture point.
Yes, lay down those burdens, get rid of those rods.
Yep.
Well,
right,
David,
Chris,
you have a fantastic week there in sunny California. I'm just hoping we don't get a blizzard here before Thanksgiving.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's been 80 degrees here. It was 81 today. So, yeah, it's been a little hot. I'm actually about to go turn on my air conditioner. I turned it off because I don't want to have the noise in our show. It's pretty sad that I'm in November with an air conditioner on.
Well, that is not a bad thing, though. So,
yeah.
Well, I will talk to you in 1 week, and everybody get out there and share the love.
Oh, did you see the volcano? There's a volcano right now going off.
Oh, really? I was unaware of that.
Yeah, there's a volcano going off. There's a third big typhoon happening in the Philippines. Third big storm to hit there in like a week, in a time. There was an X flare, solar flare today. And on top of that, we have that comet Ison, which has just passed the Earth's path in this last week of where we'll be in January. It literally went through the spot. So there's a comet close to Earth right now. There's a lot going on.
And it's going to get better. All of these wonderful, magical things are here for our edification and enjoyment.
Yep. So just putting that out there for people who want to do some research. There's some fun stuff to look out there with.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris. I will see you later, sir.
Yes, take care.
All right, bye.